Before we begin, take a moment to slow down. If you are listening to this audiobook, you are probably searching for something. Maybe clarity, maybe strength, maybe a way to move forward in a life that has become confusing, heavy, or uncertain. Many people today feel lost, not because they lack intelligence or talent, but because the modern world encourages distraction, dependency, and waiting. Waiting for motivation, waiting for approval, waiting for the right moment. But real change rarely begins with a perfect moment. It begins with a decision, a quiet, personal decision that says, "My life is my responsibility." This audiobook is not about quick motivation or temporary inspiration. Motivation fades quickly. Real change requires something deeper. It requires discipline. It requires emotional control. It requires the courage to face difficult truths and still move forward. What you will hear in the next chapters is not complicated philosophy. It is practical wisdom that strong individuals throughout history have always understood. Progress begins with responsibility. Confidence grows from small promises kept to yourself. Strength develops when you learn to act, even when motivation disappears. The goal of this audiobook is simple: to help you rebuild the most powerful asset you can have in life. Trust in yourself. Trust that when life becomes difficult, you will respond with clarity instead of panic. Trust that when challenges appear, you will move forward instead of waiting. Trust that you are capable of building a life you respect. Take a breath, clear your mind, and listen carefully. Because the truth we are about to discuss is simple, powerful, and deeply liberating. No one is coming to save you. And that is very good news. Part 1. The truth that changes everything. There comes a moment in life when a quiet realization appears. No one is coming to save you. At first, that idea can feel uncomfortable. Many people spend years hoping that someone will arrive and solve their problems. A mentor, a boss, a partner, a lucky opportunity. We wait for the perfect moment when life finally becomes easier. But the truth is different. Life rarely changes because someone rescued us. It changes when we decide to take responsibility for our own direction. And that is not bad news. It is powerful news. Because the moment you accept that no one is coming to save you, something remarkable happens. You stop waiting. You stop postponing. You stop believing that the future depends on other people. You begin building the most important relationship you will ever have: the relationship with yourself. Many people today are trapped in something psychologists call learned helplessness. Over time, repeated disappointments teach people that their actions do not matter. Maybe they tried something before and failed. Maybe someone they trusted let them down. Maybe life simply knocked them down too many times. Eventually, they stop trying. They begin to believe that effort is pointless. But the human mind was not designed for passivity. It was designed for action, creativity, and problem-solving. When people lose that sense of agency, their confidence slowly fades. The way out is surprisingly simple. Start moving again. Not with giant, dramatic changes, but with small decisions that restore your sense of control. Clean your environment. Improve your routines. Take responsibility for one area of your life that you can improve today. Every small action rebuilds something essential: the belief that your choices matter. Responsibility is often misunderstood. Many people hear the word and think it means blame, but responsibility is not about blame. It is about ownership. It means recognizing that while you cannot control everything that happens to you, you can control how you respond. The people who build strong lives are not the ones who had perfect circumstances. They are the ones who accepted responsibility for shaping their future. They stopped asking, "Why is this happening to me?" Instead, they began asking, "What can I do next?" That single question can transform a life. When you take responsibility, your mind shifts from frustration to strategy. Instead of focusing on what went wrong, you begin focusing on what can improve. This shift is where real personal power begins. The truth is simple but important. Waiting weakens the human spirit. Action strengthens it. And the moment you decide that your life belongs in your own hands, something inside you begins to wake up again. You realize that progress does not require perfection. It requires movement. And movement begins with one decision: the decision to take ownership of your life. Part 2. Rebuilding self-trust and discipline. Once you accept responsibility for your life, the next step is rebuilding something many people have quietly lost over time: self-trust. Self-trust is the confidence that when you make a promise to yourself, you will follow through. Many people struggle with this, not because they are weak or incapable, but because over the years they have unintentionally trained their minds to expect disappointment from themselves. They say they will wake up earlier. They say they will exercise tomorrow. They say they will begin working on an important goal next week. But tomorrow becomes next week, and next week becomes next month. Slowly, the mind begins to notice the pattern. And when your mind notices that your words do not match your actions, something important begins to weaken. You stop believing yourself. Without self-trust, even simple goals begin to feel difficult. Plans feel unrealistic. Discipline feels exhausting. Life begins to feel like something happening to you instead of something you are actively shaping. But the encouraging truth is that self-trust can always be rebuilt. And the way to rebuild it is not dramatic. It begins with small promises. Choose one action that you will commit to every day. Not something extreme or unrealistic, something small enough that failure becomes unlikely. It might be walking for 10 minutes every morning, reading a few pages of a book each day, taking a moment every evening to plan the next day. The action itself is not the most important part. The most important part is consistency. When you keep a promise to yourself repeatedly, your mind begins to notice something different. You are becoming reliable. And reliability creates confidence. Over time, those small promises begin to accumulate. One habit leads to another improvement. One improvement creates momentum for the next. Eventually, the person you once hoped to become begins to appear through small, daily choices. Discipline grows in a similar way. Many people believe discipline is about intense effort or extreme willpower. They imagine waking up suddenly transformed, filled with endless motivation. But discipline does not work that way. Motivation is emotional. It rises and falls depending on how you feel that day. Discipline is structural. It is built through routines and systems that guide your behavior even when you do not feel motivated. The people who build strong lives do not rely on motivation. They rely on habits. For example, someone who exercises every morning does not wake up and negotiate with themselves. The decision was made long ago. The routine carries them forward. This is why small habits are powerful. They remove unnecessary decisions and reduce internal conflict. They create momentum that carries you through difficult days. Momentum is one of the most powerful forces in personal development. Once you begin moving forward consistently, stopping becomes harder than continuing. Another skill that strengthens discipline is emotional regulation. Every human being experiences frustration, stress, fear, and doubt. These emotions are normal, but strong individuals learn something important. They do not allow emotions to control their decisions. Instead of reacting immediately, they pause. They observe their thoughts and feelings without rushing to act on them. This pause creates clarity. Clarity allows you to respond with intention instead of impulse. And when your responses become more thoughtful, your decisions begin to improve. The goal is not to eliminate emotions. The goal is to remain steady even when emotions are present. When responsibility, self-trust, discipline, and emotional control begin working together, something powerful happens. Your life becomes more stable. Your confidence becomes stronger. And slowly, day by day, you begin to respect yourself again. Not because someone praised you, but because you proved to yourself that you can be trusted. Part 3. The strength of quiet progress. Once responsibility, self-trust, and discipline begin to grow, something important starts to change in your life. Progress becomes visible. At first, the changes may seem small. A better routine, a clearer mind, a little more energy during the day. These early improvements are easy to overlook, but they are the foundation of something much larger. Real transformation rarely happens in dramatic moments. It happens quietly. Most people expect success to arrive suddenly, like a breakthrough. But in reality, strong lives are built through consistent effort over long periods of time. Think about how nature works. A tree does not grow overnight. It grows slowly, season after season, strengthening its roots before its branches ever reach high into the sky. Human progress works the same way. Every disciplined action is a small root growing beneath the surface. Every promise you keep to yourself strengthens that foundation. Eventually, those roots become strong enough to support something remarkable. But during the early stages, progress is often invisible to others. This is where many people give up. They work for a few days or a few weeks, and when dramatic results do not appear, they assume their effort is pointless. They quit too early. But the people who eventually succeed understand something different. They respect quiet progress. They understand that meaningful change compounds over time. 10 minutes of exercise each day may not seem impressive, but over a year, it becomes more than 60 hours of movement. Reading 10 pages per day may seem small, but over time, it becomes thousands of pages of knowledge. Small actions repeated consistently create outcomes that once seemed impossible. Another important shift happens as you continue this process. Your focus begins to change. Instead of seeking comfort, you begin seeking growth. Comfort is easy to choose in the short term. Resting, avoiding challenges, postponing difficult decisions. These choices feel good for a moment, but over time, constant comfort weakens the human spirit. Growth works differently. Growth often feels uncomfortable at first. It requires effort, patience, and persistence. But the reward is strength, and strength creates freedom. When you become stronger mentally and emotionally, you are no longer controlled by temporary discomfort. You become capable of handling challenges that once seemed overwhelming. This shift changes how you view problems. Instead of seeing difficulties as obstacles, you begin to see them as training. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to strengthen patience, discipline, and resilience. Over time, this perspective transforms the way you experience life. You begin to move through uncertainty with greater calm. You make decisions with more clarity. And perhaps most importantly, you begin to respect the person you are becoming. Self-respect is one of the most valuable outcomes of personal growth. It does not come from applause or recognition. It comes from knowing that your actions align with your values. It comes from knowing that when life becomes difficult, you will not run away from responsibility. You will face it with strength. The world does not need more people waiting for rescue. It needs more individuals willing to take responsibility for their lives and quietly build something meaningful. And the good news is that this path is available to anyone willing to walk it. You do not need perfect conditions. You do not need unlimited motivation. You simply need the willingness to move forward one step at a time. One disciplined action. One honest decision. One promise kept to yourself each day. Over time, those small choices begin to shape your character. And your character begins to shape your life. That is the true meaning behind the message you heard at the beginning of this journey. No one is coming to save you, and that is good, because it means your future still belongs to you. The question that changes your life. Before this audiobook ends, pause for a moment. Not to relax, not to drift away, but to think. Because information alone does not change a life. Only decisions do. You have now heard a simple but powerful idea repeated in different ways. No one is coming to save you. But here is the deeper question most people never ask themselves. If no one is coming to save you, then who have you been waiting for? Think about that carefully. How many plans in your life are still waiting for the right moment? How many goals are postponed for a future version of yourself that will somehow feel more motivated, more confident, more prepared? That future version of you will never appear. Because the person who builds your future is the person listening right now. The uncomfortable truth is that most people know exactly what they should do to improve their lives. They should take better care of their health. They should manage their time more carefully. They should focus on meaningful work instead of endless distraction. They should have difficult conversations they have been avoiding. They should build discipline instead of waiting for motivation. The knowledge is not the problem. The problem is hesitation. The mind creates stories to justify delay. I will start next week. I will start when life becomes easier. I will start when I feel ready. But readiness rarely comes first. Action creates readiness. Confidence is not something people are born with. Confidence is built through evidence. Every time you do something difficult, your mind gathers proof that you are stronger than you believed. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you reinforce the identity of someone who follows through. And over time, those small pieces of evidence reshape the way you see yourself. The question is not whether you are capable of building a better life. The real question is whether you are willing to begin. Not tomorrow, not next month, but now. Because the next chapter of your life will not be written by your intentions. It will be written by your actions. Years from now, you will either look back and see the moment when you decided to take ownership of your life, or you will look back and realize you kept waiting. Waiting for clarity, waiting for courage, waiting for someone else to make the first move. But the truth has always been simple. The person who builds your future has always been you. So here is the final challenge. When this audio ends, choose one action. One small, clear decision that moves your life in a better direction. Not a perfect plan, just a beginning. Take a walk. Write down your goals. Turn off the distractions. Start the work you have been avoiding. Do something that your future self will quietly thank you for. Because your life will not change from what you heard today. It will change from what you do next. And that decision belongs to you.